All right, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how fat-free foods are making your type 2 diabetes worse. Now, for years, we've all been told that fat is bad. And I know specifically for you as a diabetic, the advice that you're getting is that you need to eat low-fat dairy, avoid the butter, adopt an overall low-fat diet. But what if I told you that this advice is making it more difficult for you to control your blood glucose levels? Yep. Fat-free is a trap, and it's a trap because it leads to more hunger, more sugar cravings, higher blood sugar spikes, and all these things together cause progressive worsening of your diabetes over time. But stick with me because over the next few minutes, I am going to bust this fat-free is better myth wide open. And I'm going to share with you the real truth behind why fat-free foods are not the answer for your type 2 diabetes. All right, so the thing about fat-free food is that when fat is removed from this food, it doesn't make it healthier, it makes it worse. And I'm going to break this down by going through 5 reasons why fat-free foods are making your diabetes worse. Now, the first reason is that fat-free foods leave you feeling hungry faster. And so if you're feeling hungry more frequently, it means you're eating more frequently, and so you are raising your blood glucose levels more frequently, right? Why do fat-free foods cause you to be hungry faster? Well, fat is the macronutrient that causes you to be satisfied the longest. So we have 3 main macronutrients: fat, protein, carbohydrates, okay? And to give you a good understanding of how the different macronutrients cause different amounts of energy, right? Let's look at the analogy of a campfire. And I heard somebody who was talking about a keto product using the campfire analogy to explain how our body gets energy from the different macronutrients. So in a campfire, you have the kindling, which gives you that quick burst of a large flame, but it dies out very quickly. Then you have the logs that burn for several hours, 2, 3, 4 hours, okay? But then you have the coals, and the coal essentially is what is going to keep smoldering for hours and hours and hours, keeping your fire, your energy alive. So for the macronutrients, the carbohydrates would be like the kindling. The carbohydrates give you this quick spurt of energy, your blood sugar goes up quickly, but then it comes back down very quickly. Then there's the protein. Protein is like the logs, where you get some energy for, a good 3, maybe 4 hours, 5, depending, okay? And then it wears off. But then fat, that's like the coals, and the fat will smolder on for many hours, 6, 7 hours, depending on what it is you are eating, right? So if you're having fat-free foods, it means that you are robbing your body of that long-lasting energy. And instead, that fat-free food is low-energy food, especially if it's predominantly carbohydrates. And 70% of the average person's meals come from carbohydrates, okay? So this is why you're getting hungry quicker, right? You end up eating more frequently throughout the day, and you're going to be eating carbohydrate heavy foods, and unfortunately, as you eat more frequently these carbohydrate rich foods, you are spiking your insulin levels, so insulin stays high, and that is what continues to worsen the underlying problem of your type 2 diabetes, which is insulin resistance. So what you need to do is choose those full fat foods, naturally fatty foods that are from nature, the land and the sea, right? These foods will keep you feeling full for longer. So naturally you will be eating less often, and you will avoid these blood sugar roller coasters and the perpetual need for insulin, which will worsen your problem, okay? Second reason why fat-free foods are making your type 2 diabetes worse is that essentially fat-free foods end up having more sugar per bite, okay? So because there's more sugar per bite, it means that your blood sugar is spiking higher, okay? Now, when you remove fat from sugar, you have a higher concentration of, when you remove fat from your food, you have a higher concentration of sugar. So let's look at milk as an example. So in whole milk, by the way, milk is one of the complete foods in nature, having almost equal parts of the 3 macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And in this case, the carbohydrated milk is the milk sugar lactose. So you have those 3 macronutrients present in 1-to-1-to-1 ratio approximately, right? Now, for fat-free milk, okay, it means that you're going to take the fat out and you're going to be left with an imbalance. So you're going to only have the protein and you're going to have only the protein and the carbohydrate in the milk and none of the fat. Because of this, imbalance, it means that per sip you're getting a higher concentration of sugar because you're lacking that fat, which will further dilute the sugar present in the milk. Okay, more sugar per sip means a faster rise in your blood sugar levels with fat-free milk compared to whole fat milk. And the kicker is, even if the total amount of sugar that you're consuming is the same, that rise in your blood sugar was more significant. It was high, and so you absorbed more sugar in the long run because it just came in too quickly. Okay, so again, what to do is that you need to choose those whole or full fat versions of your food. So forget fat-free milk. Have whole milk. If you're going to have dairy, have full fat dairy so that you can get the benefit of a higher energy or longer lasting energy food source. Okay, the third reason why fat-free foods are making your type 2 diabetes worse is that fat-free foods are more processed and they tend to cause a roller coaster effect on your blood sugar levels. Now, the more processed a food is, the faster it turns into sugar in your bloodstream. Why is this? Fat-free foods go through a lot of processing in factories. They take out the fat, but then they have to add other things to make it taste better because it doesn't taste good without the naturally occurring fat. They add a lot of fillers, they add flavors, and sometimes they even add sugars. And so these foods, because of this processing that happens, it makes them easier to digest, easier to break down in your body. Add a little saliva, some stomach juices, and they dissolve and flood into your bloodstream, flood to your liver, and overwhelm your system, right? You have a sharp blood sugar spike as a result, and this is followed by a big insulin rise, okay? Because of this big insulin rise, you have a drop, right? Often pretty abrupt drop in your blood glucose levels, and this leads to more cravings. And this roller coaster cycle continues throughout the day if you are continuously having these fat-free foods throughout the day, okay? What you need to do, as I've said before already, you need to choose the whole foods. Get those foods that still have the naturally occurring fat in them, okay? Foods from the land and the sea, all right? And these foods are going to keep you full for longer, and you will avoid these rushes of sugar, which are followed by these crashes, okay? Now, the fourth reason why fat-free foods are causing your diabetes to worsen is that fat-free foods are actually deficient in essential nutrients. And these essential nutrients keep your body healthy in general, right? Essential nutrients will include fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin D, well, A, D, E, and K. But vitamin D is of particular relevance because vitamin D actually helps with blood sugar control. It helps with insulin sensitivity, okay? If you're eating fat-free foods, even if they might say, oh, they have added vitamins, added vitamin D, and so on and so forth, these vitamins might not be in an absorbable form because they are there without the fat that is needed for them to be absorbed into your body. Additionally, you have essential fatty acids, and essential fatty acids have anti-inflammatory effects. If you have runaway inflammation in your body, that makes insulin resistance worse, which of course is the underlying problem of your diabetes. If insulin resistance worsens, your type 2 diabetes worsens in time, okay? So you need to have full fat food so that you can get the essential fatty acids, have reduced inflammation in your body, have proper hormone production, including insulin, that's a hormone, of course, right? And overall stabilize your blood sugar levels and improve your diabetes over time, if not reverse it actually, right? So ditch those fat-free foods and eat your whole foods with the natural nutrients, the naturally present fat. Okay. All right. So the fifth and final reason why fat-free foods are making your type 2 diabetes worse is that fat-free foods stimulate more insulin release, and this makes insulin resistance worse. Now, the number one problem of your type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance happens when your body keeps producing more and more insulin in response to the types of foods that you're eating. Now, fat is the only macronutrient that's not going to cause your body to stimulate insulin production. So if you're eating fat-free foods, it means that you're eating the foods that will cause insulin production, chief of which is carbohydrates, but then protein to an extent does cause some release of insulin. So you have a problem where too much insulin is making it worse, but then if you're eating the foods that cause more insulin that will make the problem perpetually worse. Having food that has fat means that you're having more nutrients that will not need insulin to be processed. If you're having more fat, it means that your insulin levels can go down, and once your insulin levels go down, your insulin resistance gets better and your diabetes can potentially be reversed. Okay, fat also, it slows down digestion, and once digestion is slowed down, even if you're having food with carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates are being released into your system more slowly, it means that you're not going to need as much insulin as if the carbohydrates came in rapidly because they came without fat or maybe even without protein. Okay, so essentially full fat foods will trigger less insulin, and that is why you need to embrace full fat in your foods. Okay, they naturally regulate insulin and improve sugar control overall. So there you have it, the 5 reasons why fat-free foods are not helping your diabetes. They leave you hungrier, making you eat more often. They spike your blood sugar higher because they contain more concentrated sugars, okay? They are more processed and cause blood sugar roller coasters. They rob your body of essential nutrients, essential fatty acids needed to help with insulin health, and they stimulate more insulin release, which make insulin resistance worse, all right? There's good news, obviously. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle. And if you want to learn more, just go ahead and click the link below.